the very first wrap-up video that I'm doing for this channel, and I'm posting it disgustingly late. How very typical of me, if you know me in real life, but I'm trying my best, okay? I did my best. I have not finished everything in time for the month of October, but I still finish all the 5 books on my October TBR. Not on time, but I still finish all of them, so, you know, small victories. I will celebrate them. So these are the 5 books. I would just like to do a quick recap of how I rated all of them, just to look back at how my month of October went. Really just for self-gratification purposes, to be honest. I'm just gonna talk briefly about each one of them and how much star rating each of them have, and, you know, kind of do a little summary towards the end. So let's go. First book I've read for the month is Dearly Beloved by Wendy Corsi-Staub. I think this is mystery, thriller, crime. I think that's the genre it's supposed to be. In my book review of this one, I did talk about how my main problem about this book is spacing. I felt like the setting of the world took longer than it needs to. It was slow burn for the first half. It picked up in the middle, and then at the part of the climax and the ending where I needed it the most, it rushed everything and abruptly ended things. So I rated Dearly Beloved 3 out of 5 stars. It's an okay mystery. Towards the middle, I still didn't know what's gonna happen or how it's gonna end. It's just that I didn't know if I like how it ended. That's, I guess, my main problem with this one. But nevertheless, it still gave me excitement. It still managed to keep me on my toes at some parts, which is what I've been craving for, and gave me anxiety. Dearly Beloved tackled a lot of really dark and serious themes. At the heart of this is violence, which is sexual in nature, so there might be a lot of trigger warning, but yeah, it did talk about child abuse, about non-consensual sex, rape, sexual assault, and everything. Lots of trigger warnings for sure, so if you're ever gonna be reading this book, please be warned. I think especially because it was written so many years ago, it is brave of it to really bring that to the forefront and really have that as the central recurring theme of the crimes committed here in this book, so kudos for that. It just really is the storytelling for me that I had problems with, but the author really is good with depicting characters, fleshing out their life stories. Just yeah, the ending kind of leaving me wanting for more. So it's still an okay thriller. 3 stars. The second book I've read for the month is Gabriels Ghost by Linnea Sinclair. This came as a very delightful surprise to me. I honestly didn't know what I was signing up for when I started this book. I saw Best Paranormal Romance, and the title is Gabriels Ghost, so honestly, what I was expecting was something more horror, something involving ghost, exorcism, something like that. I didn't know that this is gonna be sci-fi, which is romance centered. I rated Gabriels Ghost 4 out of 5 stars. I was really pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoy this. Also, Linnea Sinclair's writing skills, brilliant. Her world building, so good. She can alternate between technical sci-fi and lyrical romance, which I think not a lot of authors can do. I mean, really, when we talk about sci-fi nowadays, it's mostly really just sci-fi sci-fi fantasy, urban sci-fi, sci-fi dystopia, but sci-fi romance is pretty rare, so I didn't really know what I was expecting. And I was so delighted because the sexual romantic tension in here is just chef's kiss. I just had a sort of, a minor issue with the characters being depicted as being very powerful, which kind of hampered my appreciation of the plot in general. But nevertheless, I still really like the plot overall. I think it's very refreshing, and the world is just really brilliant. And if Linnea Sinclair has more works, or more recent works right now, I definitely would still give those a try. So yeah, I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Third book I've read for the month is SANDALI, written by Mikey Jimenez and illustrated by Mikey Marchan. This is a Filipino graphic novel, and you know what? This is supposed to be the last book on my TBR. I was intending this to be the very last thing I read for the month of October, but I read it as a third book because I kind of wanted a breather. I wanted to take a break from complex world systems and magic, and before launching into another sci-fi book, or books with complicated worlds. I wanted something quick and easy. Joke's on me because I was not prepared at all with what this book will be giving me. SANDALI is a short story collection that really caught me off guard. I was not prepared for stories that would give me dark comedy, would give me gut-wrenching take on the realistic everyday pain of the average Filipino worker with full-time jobs. I was not prepared for glimpses of our social media behavior, how we deal with our colleagues, our family, people from different parts of society. I did not sign up for any of that, but I'm so glad I did because this is such a powerful short story collection. The stories in here are something you would probably love to talk to your friends or family about. They can be really good point of discussion. So I think out of all the books that I have read for the month of October, this is going to be the one that I would highly recommend. I in fact gave a copy of this to my best friend Cherry on her birthday. This is one of the books that I gave her a copy of, and I am looking forward to what her thoughts are about this Filipino graphic novel. I gave SANDALI 5 out of 5 stars, no question. It made me really proud that our Filipino comics and graphic novel scene here in the Philippines is growing, thriving, and being excellent. We love excellence, and because of this book, I'm looking forward to reading more graphic novels from our local artists and local writers. So if you would ever try any of the books that I have read for them in October, this is definitely it. Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart is the 4th book that I've read for October. This also came in as a very pleasant surprise. I was prepared to be intimidated. I was prepared for, the usual complex, really nitty-gritty, technical, dystopian-ish world that fantasy sci-fi books are usually known for. But it gave me a very fun ensemble of characters. a very suspenseful, gripping, action-packed, intense plot with lots of very refreshing conflicts and controversial takes on power, leaderships, politics. I was not expecting that at all. And this book gave me that and so much more. This book made me understand why a lot of people are in love with Brandon Sanderson's books, because this made me a fan. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely looking forward to the next book, which is Firefight. But it doesn't diminish the fact that even though this is probably a duology or a trilogy, I don't know, as a standalone, this is really excellent. I have no complaints. I have nothing to complain about this book. I love it from beginning to end and enjoyed every single chapter. His storytelling is so organized, sequenced very well. His plot is so detailed, and I love how he has a way of really keeping the suspense by putting on cliffhangers in every chapter. Steelheart, a really great and fun read. I'm glad I picked it up. Finally, The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. The book that really ruined my schedule because I was not able to meet the October deadline because of this book. On top of that, it kind of also ruined my life because everything about this book just scarred me forever. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, of course. This is a book that I would remember for the rest of my life, not only because it's the very first book that I have annotated, but everything about this book just reeks of brilliance and excellence. I would forever be jealous of Eleanor Catton for having written this book. I did say in my review though that this is not something I would recommend for everyone because probably the toxic and negative dark themes discussed in here might not be your cup of tea. You're probably not into reading to be stressed out, so this is probably not something you would enjoy. But if you are a writer who wants to learn, who wants to grow, who wants to expand your horizon about storytelling, this book is powerful and you should definitely read it at least once in your life. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars definitely. Now, I'm shamelessly gonna copy a method that I have seen and watched from one of the reviewers here on BookTube who had been reviewing his guess for who's gonna win the Booker Prize, the shortlisted books for the Booker Prize award. He says that he measures books based on the following factors, or here's what his criteria comprises of: plot, characters, world building or setting, the writing style, the themes or the message that he's trying to deliver, and his personal enjoyment of the book. So I thought it would be fun to also pick my best book based on those qualities that he has mentioned. Alright, so for best plot, I actually thought about this because I thought about how much I terribly enjoyed the plot of Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart. So I definitely took this into consideration, but ultimately I would forever be amazed by how cleverly and flawlessly plotted the Luminaries plot has been. It runs for 832 pages, and every single page accounts for a very important layer of the plot that was discussed in here. So Best plot, definitely the Luminaries. Now, for best character, I've also really considered these two books, Gabriels Ghost and Steelheart, because they have such great ensemble who are also very integral to the plot, and they're not cardboard characters. They're all really well fleshed out, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed getting to know these characters. But ultimately, I would still go for The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. All of the characters here are so problematic. They're all so racist and misogynist and sexist. Every problematic thing that you can think of. But Eleanor Catton still managed to depict them with life stories, not to draw out your sympathy or not to cancel out their issues or anything like that. They're just really presented to you raw, honest, straightforward. They're problematic. No excuses, you know? So I think the bravery and the courage of doing that is for the books. Best characters, the Luminaries. Right, for world building, definitely I still really considered the Luminaries because the writing in this is so atmospheric, and this being historical fiction gave it such an advantage. But ultimately, I ended up with Linnea Sinclair's Gabriels Ghost. I was so amazed by how it enthralled me and captivated me into this mesmerizing world that is sci-fi and very technical. It really drew me in, and the world system is just laid out to you so accessibly, but still, I'm really flabbergasted at how he was able to deliver that kind of world building to us. So, right. So for themes, this is actually a really pleasant problem to have because each and every single one of these 5 books that I have read for the month of October have their respective powerful theme to bring to the table. So it's really just a matter of, you know, what resonated with me the most, I guess. So it can be a case-to-case basis on each person. The Luminaries tackles misogyny and racism, which are two very problematic things in planet Earth. Tale as old as time. But ultimately, I thought of how Steelheart has a very refreshing perspective about leadership and heroes. And also how SANDALI was able to captivate me into thinking of the everyday Filipino man. I think both of these books have a very aligned principle in terms of honoring the average human, as opposed to the grandiose, very dramatic depiction of heroes in all kinds of media right now. I'm glad that there are books that are honoring and recognizing our average struggles as normal human beings. Best themes. Now, in terms of enjoyment, definitely Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart. Without question, I really enjoy this book. I would recommend it to a lot of people as well, but since I've already said it earlier, I'd still go with SANDALI. This is something that I would see myself shoving down people's throats, although I don't really like doing that. But yes, please grab a copy of SANDALI if you can. Let's talk about it. I would love to discuss this with you. It has really great art and really powerful short stories, so go ahead and grab a copy of this, please. And finally, what I think for me is the most important aspect of them all, which is the writing quality. At the end of the day, this is still gonna be the best non-negotiable thing for me, and that is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I would always be grateful that I made a decision to annotate this book because there were so many things that I don't really want to forget about this story, and the writing style of this author I would always look up to. This is something that would really help me grow, not only as a reader but also as a writer. So I'm glad I read it. It took me so much suffering, so much pain, trauma, struggle, but everything is worth it. Right, so these are my October books. Although I'm posting this wrap up in November, I'm so glad that I finished all of them. I also have November reading plans, so I'm gonna post that next. If you've ever read my book reviews for these books, thank you so much for bearing with me and for the things that I talk about. But yeah, if you could give any of these books a chance, let me know what are your thoughts on them. If we think the same or if we think differently, I would love to hear that. I hope your October has been well, and I really hope November is better for all of us. So, thank you.